There once was a man who was born and raised in a small town of Chesterville. He was a very opinionated child and grew up always fighting for what he believed in. Growing up, he always knew he wanted to make a difference in the world. Finally, once he turned 27, he knew it was time for him to make the difference he had always wanted to make. It was his time to shine. The perfect opportunity had arrived. It was time for Chesterville to see a change. The same mayor, Mr. Bush, had been running for as long as John Smith could remember.
John decided he wanted to run for mayor. In his little town, he knew he needed an issue to latch onto, an issue that would excite the public, something they could get behind. Mr. Bush wasn't a bad guy, he was just old and entrenched in his ways. John wanted to breathe new life into his little town, and this was his opportunity. His mind started running through all the possibilities that this new chapter in his life could bring, not only for him, but for the whole community of Chesterville.
The race between the current mayors and the new want-to-be mayor would begin next week. John had been invited to a debate at Town Hall after announcing his intentions to run for mayor. Because John didn't have the money to finance a major campaign to run for mayor, he had to get his message out at the debate in hopes to get the community funding for this campaign.
It was the morning of the debate. John was at his podium, sweating profusely, not knowing how all of this would end up. The debate began. He started up slow and nervous. He then started realizing that right at this very moment, his lifelong dreams were coming true. His campaign proposal just turned into a passionate speech that many of the community members were now paying attention to. After John's speech, the first questions were small, procedural questions that had to be answered before any real decisions could be made. Finally, the real questions were asked.
What is the main issue you promised to tackle to improve the lives of the townspeople? Asked the moderator.
It was John's time to shine. He needed to prove that he was capable of this campaign. It would either get the grassroots support that the campaign needed, or it would fail before it even had the chance to start.
And I promise to remove the staples from the telephone poles on main streets. And I promise to ensure the chip wagon never runs out of perch. And I'll ensure all cows are suitably secure behind fences and can escape and block traffic.
The crowd was silent. John looked at the crowd with pleading eyes. He wanted something to prove his run for mayor was not in vain. He wanted something to show his hard work had paid off. He wanted to show that all the things that he promised to do seemed small but really would make a big difference in their town of Chesterville.
Boo!
Shouted a member of the audience.
That's a terrible platform. I don't care about any of your promises. None of them will improve my life in any way.
John felt alone. He had tried to make a difference. He had tried to show them the passion that he had for his small town. He knew he had failed.
The next turn of events led to a terrible ending that no one expected. While John was waiting for the final decision to be made, a common town folks came up and hit John with a chair.
After that moment, John never got to see another sunrise, so John died an apolitical old man. He died having no faith in the political system and refused to vote on principle.